Hey everybody, it's Justin from the Camera Shop in Muskegon, and this evening I just wanted to do a quick follow-up for everyone as far as the at-home abstracts is concerned. I wanted to give you guys some examples that you could try at home yourself, and just kind of like show you what I did so that you guys have a greater understanding of the Facebook Photo Challenge that we presented with WZZM13. So without further ado here, I'll break into the diagnosis here of what we're going to be doing. So starting out, abstracts, what abstraction is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to take an object that's an everyday object and you're trying to break it down to its simplest form. So a lot of those simplest forms are going to be, shape, color, lines, texture. Those are going to be some of the bigger things that that go into abstraction. And what you're trying to do is make something that you would normally be able to recognize unrecognizable. And that's kind of the fun thing about this at-home abstract Facebook challenge, is you go around, try to shoot anything in your house, and try to change it so that we can't tell what it is. And we will be sharing those Facebook Live on Friday at 7 p.m. So I will share your results, so I encourage you all to participate. And we're going to be posing our next Facebook challenge following Friday. So without further ado, as you guys can see on my screen, I have this lovely set of knives inside of this knife holder. And, there's a lot of great things happening with this knife holder. We've got a lot of lines. So we've got a lot of horizontal lines or vertical lines, depending on which way you look at it, and horizontal and vertical lines. And we've got these great textures on the handles of the knives. So how can I abstract this? Well, sometimes it's all about getting as close as you can to it. So what I did was I got right in on I held my camera right above the knife handles, and I just shot straight down on them. And I shot in black and white mode, or you can edit this to be in black and white mode. And you can see just how this turned out. And it's actually quite interesting. You've got these unique shapes and these unique textures as three vertical lines. And we're messing around with positive and negative space. So the negative space would be the white, the positive is going to be the black. And it's just a really interesting take on those knife handles. So from that, you can see that that's what I've got. So going around the kitchen, going around the living room, just anywhere in your house can just be fun to do. Now, this is something that a lot of you guys might not see a lot of, but this is from a typewriter. And as you can see, we've got a lot of vertical lines. And we've got this great texture underneath. It looks like a little, dust particulates underneath. And that adds some interest and some intrigue behind those vertical lines that we have. And again, I shot this in black and white because the color can sometimes detract from your photo. It can distract you. And this is just breaking it down into its simplest form. And we've got all these great shapes up here from the letters from the typewriter. And you can even go further into that. And I zoomed even further into it and just really made it about the lines only. So now we've got these great black and white lines. We've still got some of this texture down here, as you can see. And it gets interesting near the top because we've got this kind of indentation, and the lines start to break up in these weird diagonals. So you can kind of see where I went from shooting kind of wide and shooting a little closer into the typewriter key prints there. And of course, this is the angle in which I shot it from. So you're seeing right here, right here is where I shot those photographs from, and I just zoomed in on this part. So you're kind of seeing that I'm breaking it down from this large view, from this large object, and getting really nit and gritty down into the details of this. And there's some other great things that I could have photographed here. I've got these great lines over here in contours. I've got a lot of horizontal lines here on the back portion. A lot of interesting shapes over here. So you can really get in in tight on some of these objects and just really go wild. You could revolve all your shots around one object and just try to see how interesting you can make it. From there, I've got the front of the typewriter. So again, I'm talking about shooting all around. Again, I kept it black and white. I've got some great texture here in the ink ribbon. The roller in the back has this nice kind of smooth line, but then there's some nice verticals there. Great textures on the metal here. And it's kind of hard to tell what it is. If you didn't know what you were looking at, like maybe I'm looking at a sewing machine, I don't know. And that's really kind of the point, is to take something that is very obvious and make it not so obvious. As you can see, the kind of before and after, and I'm shooting this area right in here, right at the top of the typewriter. So I'm photographing this a little out of focus because my focus was up here on the keyboard, but you guys get the idea on that. So again, it's just trying to shoot around an entire object, shoot it from below, shoot it from an angle. Be creative with what you're doing. And this one, I don't know if you guys recognize this. Again, you're trying to play on color, you're trying to play on shape, lines. And so what I'm doing here is, instead of shooting in black and white, this was really green, and I wanted to pop the green even more. So I made sure to turn my camera into the pop art mode, which really just pops all the color, so it oversaturates the color. And now I've got this play on positive and negative space instead of black and white with green and black. So it's just this really interesting take on that. And of course we've got a lot of squares, diamonds if you want to look at them as diamonds, a lot of diagonal lines, so it keeps it interesting. We've got this movement moving up and down the image. And what we're looking at is we're just looking at a stack of crates that are up against the wall holding a bunch of books. And you would never be able to tell that it's holding books because of the way that I photographed it. I'm photographing it in such a way that you don't see the books. So I'm underexposing it and just making sure that there's enough light there to kind of create this intrigue. And again, unless you know what it is, that's kind of the thing that we're trying to play. It's this little game where you're trying to make the viewer guess what they photographed. So if you kind of figured out that this was an egg crate, hey, you did great. Or I should say, not an egg crate, but a dairy crate. So moving along, this one I don't have a before on, but this is definitely the after. And when we did the broadcast with WZZM, Kirk Montgomery was really interested by this one. And, curved lines can go along, curving lines kind of create some intrigue. We've got a lot of great textures here with these circles. And just this kind of repeating kind of curved line is just really interesting. When we've got, it's like we've quartered this circle. And it's, again, going to black and white eliminates some of the color because it makes it more interesting. So that's just the bottom of a frying pan. So that's, look at the bottom of something. Don't just look at the top. Flip it around. Reflective objects can be so much fun. This one, I don't know if you guys can guess what this one is, but what I loved about it is the way that the light was hitting it right here. And I like how the shadows right here and this nice gradiated texture. There's this nice gradient of light. And I liked how I included this little vertical line right here, kind of breaking up into rule of thirds. I've got that third over here, and then I've got 2/3 over here, and just this nice texture. And if you guys guess what this is, it is a roll of paper towel. So again, shooting it up close, shooting it far away, that's what I shot. And again, I shot kind of right into that vertical line. So I lined this up vertically, and I just kind of shot into where this gradient was kind of spilling over right here. And just creates an interesting, it's an interesting perspective of a roll of paper towel. This one, a little bit trickier. Again, I like textures. I'm a very texture-driven photographer when I'm doing abstracts. I think textures are nice. It's nice to kind of give the viewer something to touch with their eyes. And this is, we've got a ton of vertical and horizontal lines. Just that waffle pattern going back and forth. Great use of the black and white. And this is just the top of a lamp. So again, looking at my close-up, and you can see here this little kind of blurry spot up here. I purposely included the center top of the lamp because I like this little kind of crosshatch thing that was going on. We've got this dip in the coming from the top, and then this line, and then this dip. So it's kind of nice to kind of include kind of this, kind of like this road work, you know, with the lampshade here. So you can see that I kind of isolated this top portion right here. Is what I did. Again, going back to textures, and I tried to play with curved lines. You can kind of see we've got this subtle curved diagonal going through here. Triangles are always nice to play with. Todd and Brad Reed are really big about triangles. You know, it's one of their arrows in their quiver of what to look for when you're creating photographs. And I tried to create a triangle, but I also tried to have this curved line. And again, I'm really hunting for texture, so it was kind of this positive and negative space between the positive texture and the negative black in the background. And that is also a lampshade. And instead of shooting it just straight on, trying to get like this vertical and horizontal line, I wanted to get that diagonal, so I just kind of flipped it in such a way that I got that. You can also be creative with your abstracts. Again, look for things that have reflections. You can have a lot of, you can be really creative with pots and pans, with, you know, pieces of glass. Anything that has reflection or refraction can be fun to play with. And as you can see, I really abstracted this. I don't know if you guys can tell what this is, but this is bubble wrap in front of my tablet, and I have a shot of my tablet of fall color. So I took this fall color shot that I took this last year up north in the UP, and I put this transparent surface in front of it, just to try to obscure what we were looking at, and it really makes those colors like really patchy and kind of blurry, but we've got a lot of circles. And I thought that was really cool, and it's like, well, what is it? And I did the same thing with a jar. It's not a jar, it's a pitcher for like lemonade or juice. And I just took that, and again, I placed it in front of this tablet, and I just really kind of obscured what we were shooting, and really that's what we were looking at. We were looking at bubble wrap. Of course, this isn't the same sheet of bubble wrap, but you could have used this too. But this is the same picture that I used in front of the photograph of the tablet to really get that shot of this abstraction of the tablet screen. So that really kind of wraps up what I wanted to present to you guys here this evening. Again, this was just to kind of give you guys a recap, because we're midweek. You know, starting tomorrow is Wednesday, and we'll be gathering up your submissions this Friday to be viewing them live at 7 p.m. on Facebook to show everyone your results. Very much like I did here, I'll go over a quick recap of what goes into good abstract photos. Again, you guys want to like get up close and personal. Look for lines, look for shape, look for colors. The other thing to do is, if you have a macro lens, use a macro lens, because that'll allow you to get closer. If you don't have a macro lens, we carry something at the camera shop called extension tubes, and extension tubes allow you to use your lens, the kit lenses that you get on your camera, as de facto macro lenses. So that allows you to get up close and personal. You can also zoom in while cropping in post-production. So I hope you guys found this very helpful. I'm looking forward to you guys' results. You can send those to me at justin@camerashopmuskegon.com and just label them at home abstracts, Facebook Live, and I'll get to them. You can also tag us on Instagram, hashtag the Camera Shop Muskegon, and we'll be able to grab those from Instagram for you as well. It's going to be easier if you just kind of add them to our initial post on Facebook, because we can gather them from Facebook. It just makes it a little easier. But if you want to send them to me through email, again, it's justin@camerashopmuskegon.com. And I look forward to everyone's results here this Friday. In the meantime, you guys have fun shooting. Remember to be creative. And if you have any questions, stop by the camera shop. We're there 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. And we're open for business, appointment only or walk-in appointments. So visit us. You can visit us online, call the store, stop in, and I'm happy to take care of you guys. In the meantime, guys, enjoy your evening. Have a wonderful evening with dinner and such, and we'll see you guys here soon. Take care and have a good one. course, I got to get out of the app to get where I'm going. So have a good evening, guys.